Hello and welcome back to Real Talk. I'm your host, Josh Bell, and if you're tuning in for the first time, you've joined us for a journey through the weird, wonderful, and unmistakable world of Tim Burton. This series dives into Burton's filmography, unpacking his unique style, iconic characters, and his lasting impact on the film industry. Burton is one of those rare directors whose visual style and storytelling are instantly recognizable, and each film in his lineup tells us a little more about how he sees the world: gothic, whimsical, and sometimes downright strange. Today's episode is all about Batman, Burton's 1989 blockbuster that not only redefined the superhero genre, but also turned Gotham City into a shadowy, surreal playground unlike anything audiences had ever seen. This was the first time that Batman was brought back to life with such dark, complex layers on screen. Burton's take was visually stunning, a little eerie, and absolutely unforgettable. Batman was Burton's entry into the world of big-budget filmmaking, a gamble that paid off and forever cemented his reputation as a director willing to take risks and challenge conventions. So today, we're going back to where Gotham's big-screen journey began with Burton at the helm. Whether you're a lifelong Batman fan or just discovering the iconic film, I think you'll enjoy diving into this world with us. Alright, grab your capes and cowls, folks. It's time to head to Gotham City. Alright, well, let's get right into the story that sets the tone for the entire Gotham universe. In Batman, we follow Bruce Wayne, a reclusive billionaire haunted by his tragic past. Beneath his charming exterior lies a man determined to cleanse Gotham of crime and corruption. Michael Keaton delivers an unforgettable take on Bruce Wayne, bringing depth and nuance to a character who is both vulnerable and relentless, grappling with inner demons that ultimately drive him to become Batman, the masked vigilante. As Gotham's shadowy guardian, Batman is met with his most formidable opponent, the Joker. Played by Jack Nicholson, the Joker is unlike any villain Gotham has seen. He's a blend of charisma, malevolence, and theatrical insanity, with a twisted sense of humor and that menacing, unforgettable grin. Nicholson's Joker is equal parts frightening and oddly mesmerizing, making him a character you can't look away from. With every action, every quip, he radiates chaos and thrives on Batman being pushed to his limits. But this is more than just a hero versus villain narrative. Burton dives into themes of duality and identity, presenting a battle not just for Gotham's future, but for the souls of both Batman and the Joker. Burton's Batman challenges the typical superhero mold by embracing a gothic, almost operatic tone that emerges the comic book styling with a psychological depth. It is a twisted, dark dance between two opposing forces, and Burton uses every frame to explore the masks they wear, literal for Batman, but metaphorical for Bruce Wayne as he balances his public life with his hidden persona. The contrast between Batman's sense of justice and Joker's lust for chaos turns Gotham into a battleground for the human psyche, setting the stage for a movie that's both thrilling and thematically rich. Now, if there is one thing that makes Batman distinct, it's Tim Burton's unmistakable directorial style. He doesn't just create a setting, he crafts an entire world. And in Batman, that world is Gotham City, a place where shadows are long, buildings are colossal, and the air seems heavy with mystery and menace. Gotham feels almost sentient, with its looming Gothic architecture and perpetual twilight. Burton pulled heavily from German Expressionism, a film movement known for exaggerated angles, harsh contrasts, and an almost dreamlike quality, making Gotham feel part nightmare, part industrial cityscape. The color palette is just as deliberate. Burton saturates the film in blacks, deep grays, and muted blues, setting a stark tone and leaving room for only a few intentional bursts of color. One of the most striking examples is the Joker's purple suit, which cuts through the shadows and demands attention every time he's on screen. Burton's clever use of contrasting colors creates visual tension. Each scene is both vibrant and haunting, reflecting the duality at the core of Batman: order versus chaos, light versus dark. Special effects and practical effects are used sparingly, but with high impact. The Joker's ghastly smile, created with a combination of prosthetics and Nicholson's own wicked expressions, is a masterpiece of character design. Burton's commitment to practical effects over CGI gives the film a raw and tactile quality. Every detail of the Joker's appearance, from his grin to his makeup, feels disturbingly real, enhancing his unsettling presence on screen. It's the kind of craftsmanship that grounds Burton's fantasy world in a gritty, believable reality. With Batman, Burton essentially redefines the superhero genre. He didn't follow the bright, family-friendly path that superhero films like Superman had traditionally taken. Instead, he carved out a darker, more complex approach. The movie set a visual and tonal blueprint for all future Gotham stories. Even decades later, when you think of Gotham on film, it's hard to not picture the foreboding landscape that Burton built. Batman showed audiences that a superhero film can be both gritty and grand, deep yet accessible. A perfect mix of spectacle and storytelling that without doubt left a lasting mark on the superhero genre. So let's take a look at the performances, starting with Michael Keaton, his portrayal of Batman. When you first hear Batman, you might expect a brooding, muscle-bound action hero. At least that's what we expected in 1989. But Keaton brought something fresh and deeply introspective to the role. Keaton's Bruce Wayne is reserved, almost haunted, with a subtle intensity that contrasts sharply with the larger-than-life villains of Gotham. Under the suit, his Batman is all about quiet, calculated resolve rather than raw aggression, giving the character layers that resonated well beyond the physical transformation. It was a gamble for Burton to cast him, especially given Keaton's comedic background. But he believed that Keaton could capture the inner complexity of Bruce Wayne, and he nailed it. Then there's Jack Nicholson as the Joker, and what a force he is. Nicholson's Joker is a swirling mix of terror, charm, and insanity, pushing the boundaries of what a comic book villain could be. He brought an unhinged theatrical quality that made the Joker feel unpredictable and dangerous, yet oddly magnetic. Nicholson's Joker wasn't just a villain. He was an icon, shaping the character in pop culture and establishing a legacy that would influence every Joker portrayal that followed. His dark humor and twisted charisma make him unforgettable, setting the standard for Batman's adversaries to come. Now, we can't discuss Batman without celebrating Danny Elfman's score, which is practically a character in itself. From the opening credits, Elfman's music establishes a tone that's haunting, epic, and full of suspense. It's a score that perfectly complements Burton's gothic vision of Gotham. Weaving together tension and grandeur, Elfman's theme has become synonymous with Batman, echoing the shadowy depths of the character's psyche and his mission. It's cinematic, dynamic, and emotionally charged, setting a musical identity for Batman that would influence nearly every future adaptation. And then there's the production design team, particularly Anton Furst, whose vision for Gotham City gave the film its unforgettable look. Furst's Gotham is oppressive and gothic, a maze of towering structures and dark alleys that feels like a living, breathing creature. His collaboration with Burton on Batman won him an Academy Award for Best Art Direction, and for good reason. Their work set the stage for the visual language of Gotham across all future adaptations, making the city itself feel like a menacing character with secrets hidden in every shadow. Together, these performances and collaborations turned Batman into more than just an action movie. Keaton, Nicholson, Elfman, and the entire creative team crafted a film that's rich in atmosphere, deeply psychological, and emotionally gripping. It's the kind of teamwork that not only made Batman a hit, but also a cornerstone of Burton's career and a landmark in the superhero genre. Now, Batman is more than just an action movie. It's packed with themes that make us question identity, morality, and the very nature of justice. One of the biggest themes here is duality and the struggle with identity. Bruce Wayne lives a divided existence, navigating two contrasting personas, the wealthy socialite and the shadowy protector of Gotham. Burton leans into this split, crafting Bruce as a character who's almost trapped between his public and private selves. Gotham itself reflects this duality. On one hand, a city full of life, and on the other, a place gripped by darkness and corruption. The contrast between Bruce's refined, restrained demeanor and the fierce, relentless Batman persona adds a psychological weight to his character, exploring the toll of maintaining such a double life. Then there's the Joker, who personifies the theme of chaos and challenges the concept of identity altogether. While Batman is driven by purpose and a strict moral code, the Joker represents absolute freedom. Freedom from social expectations, freedom from guilt, and ultimately freedom from sanity. He is what Batman could become if he were to abandon his principles, making him a dark mirror to Bruce's character. This contrast raises questions about what truly separates a hero from a villain. Is it just one's actions, or is it the intention and moral boundaries that define them? Burton plays with all these ideas, pushing us to think about the delicate balance between order and chaos and how quickly that line can blur. Another significant theme in Batman is this concept of fear as both a tool and a personal struggle. Batman uses a fear as a weapon against Gotham's criminal, shrouding himself in darkness to intimidate and unnerve his enemies. But fear is also a defining force in his life. He's driven by the trauma of his parents' death and his desire to prevent others from experiencing the same horror. For Bruce, fear is a motivator, a reason to keep fighting, but it's also something he continues to wrestle with. Burton emphasizes this, giving Batman's mission a psychological depth that makes us question how much fear controls our own actions, both as individuals and as a society as a whole. And while it is a superhero film, Batman explores the consequences of living in a morally ambiguous world. Burton pushes the audience to consider the sacrifices and compromises made in the name of justice. Can one truly remain a hero while adopting a vigilante's methods? This theme resonates throughout Gotham as we see ordinary citizens, police, and even the criminals themselves question where the line between good and evil lies. All these elements come together to give Batman a layered complexity beyond its surface. It's a film that asks big questions under the guise of a comic book movie, reflecting Burton's unique ability to mix the fantastical with the deeply philosophical, leaving us with a story that resonates long after the credits roll. When Batman hit theaters in 1989, it wasn't just a movie. It was a full-blown cultural phenomenon. Audiences were immediately captivated by Burton's unique, darker take on the superhero genre, and the box office numbers proved it. Grossing over $400 million worldwide, Batman quickly became one of the top-grossing films of its time. Now, the film's success wasn't just about ticket sales. It marked a moment where superhero films shifted from lighthearted, often campy productions to a more serious, mature tone. Burton's vision was gritty, gothic, and atmospheric, unlike anything we had seen in a comic book movie, and it set the stage for a new era of filmmaking in the superhero genre. Critically, Batman received some mixed reviews upon its release. Some critics praised Burton's bold, stylized approach and willingness to embrace the darker side of Gotham, finding it to be a refreshing break from the superhero films of the past. Others, however, felt the film was just too grim and that it deviated from the traditional portrayal of superheroes. There was a particular focus on Burton's emphasis on atmosphere and tone over the kind of linear storytelling typical of the genre at the time. But while the critical reaction was divided, fans were absolutely hooked. Burton's Batman brought something daringly different, and it resonated with audiences who were looking for something beyond the standard good versus evil story. Over the years, Batman has only grown in reputation and cultural significance. Evolving from a blockbuster hit to a defining moment in cinema, it's now viewed as a pivotal turning point that forever changed how superhero movies were made. Before Batman, superhero films were mostly seen as lighthearted escapism, but Burton proved that these stories could have more to them. Complex adult themes, and still be commercially successful. This shift inspired a slew of darker, more complex superhero films, including the Dark Knight trilogy, which wouldn't have existed in its current form without Burton's groundbreaking approach. Burton's Gotham, with its moody Gothic aesthetic and thematic depth, set a new standard that continues to influence how filmmakers envision the worlds of a superhero today. Batman also had an enormous impact on pop culture outside of the cinema. The merchandise alone, action figures, posters, and even clothing became iconic. The bat symbol, as reimagined by Burton, was everywhere, making Batman as much a symbol of the 1989 zeitgeist as he was a superhero. And of course, Jack Nicholson's Joker became a template for future portrayals of the character. His performance was so memorable, so impactful, that it's often referenced as one of the best interpretations of a comic book villain, rivaling even Heath Ledger's later portrayal. In many ways, Batman legitimized the superhero genre in Hollywood. It showed studios that there was an appetite for serious, artistically driven comic book films, ultimately paving the way for the Marvel Cinematic Universe and other blockbuster franchises. Today, we see the legacy of Batman not only in every subsequent adaptation, but also in the entire superhero genre, as directors and studios continue to draw inspiration from Burton's bold choices. The legacy of Batman as a cultural touchstone lives on, reminding us how one visionary take on a well-loved character can redefine an entire genre. Alright, let's look behind the scenes and see the magic that helped shape Batman into the iconic film it is seen as today. First off, when Michael Keaton was initially cast as Bruce Wayne, the backlash was intense. At that point, Keaton was primarily known for his comedic roles, particularly the recent Beetlejuice, which made fans wonder if he was really up to the task of portraying Gotham's Dark Knight. It's funny to think about now, considering how he delivered such a memorable, haunting performance that challenged and expanded perceptions of superheroes. But Burton saw something in Keaton that others didn't, and in the end, his restrained, nuanced portrayal proved the doubters wrong. Then there's Jack Nicholson, who brought an unforgettable flair to the Joker. But it wasn't just his performance that was groundbreaking. Nicholson negotiated an unprecedented contract deal that earned him a percentage of the box office gross, merchandise, and even home video sales. This move was rare at the time, and it netted him millions, reportedly around $60 million when all was said and done. His contract essentially set a new precedent in Hollywood, paving the way for stars to take creative, financial risks on big projects, especially in franchise films. Another behind-the-scenes gem involves the creation of Gotham City itself. Burton worked with production designer Anton Furst to craft a city that looked as chaotic and gritty as the villains within it. They designed Gotham as though there were no zoning laws, creating a visually overwhelming cityscape of towering, misshapen buildings that seemed to clash with one another. Furst took inspiration from German Expressionism, blending Gothic and industrial aesthetics to make the city feel oppressive and claustrophobic. Burton wanted Gotham to look like it was collapsing in on itself, a fitting backdrop for the dark tension of the story and its characters. And then I just want to mention the amazing soundtrack with the songs sung by Prince. It was a whole nother level, adding flair and color and this unique style to the movie, bringing Prince to a whole different audience outside of that R&B rock-infused Purple Rain genre that he had been in. And one final piece of trivia, remember Batman's iconic Batmobile? It was an original design created specifically for the film, and it's become one of the most beloved cinematic vehicles of all time. The sleek, elongated shape was inspired by Burton's love of Gothic and futuristic elements. But fun fact, the Batmobile was actually built from the chassis of a Chevy Impala, with added elements that gave it that menacing jet black look. It was an instant fan favorite and became a symbol of the darker, edgier Batman that Burton introduced to the world. These little details give us a glimpse into how much thought and innovation went into creating Batman. From risky casting decisions to groundbreaking contracts and groundbreaking production design, this film set new standards across the board. It's clear that Burton's vision wasn't just to create a superhero movie, but to build an entire world that felt hauntingly real and unmistakably fantastical. So let's wrap up with my thoughts on Batman. While I'll save the official rating for a minute, I want to emphasize just how significant this film is in the landscape of cinema. It's not perfect, no film truly is, but it comes remarkably close to being timeless. What I love about Batman is how it embodies the quintessential Tim Burton touch. It's bold, ambitious, and unafraid to delve into the darker, more complex aspects of heroism. Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson don't just play their characters, they embody them. Keaton's portrayal of Bruce Wayne gives us a layered, introspective hero grappling with his demons, while Nicholson's Joker is a chaotic force of nature, both terrifying and irresistibly charismatic. Their performances elevate the film, allowing it to transcend the superhero genre and become something much deeper. It's a cinematic experience that challenges us to look beyond the capes and masks and examine the human condition. Even now, decades after its release, Batman continues to resonate. It's a stark reminder that heroes are not infallible. They have their flaws and insecurities just like the rest of us. And conversely, it explores the idea that every villain has a backstory, a set of circumstances that shape their choices. This complexity makes the narrative feel more grounded and relatable, even in a world filled with fantastical elements. What's particularly striking is the lasting impact Burton's vision has had on the superhero genre. His artistic choices laid the groundwork for future filmmakers, proving that superhero stories can be rich with emotional depth and thematic complexity. Batman isn't just one of Burton's best works, it's a film that changed how we view superheroes on screen, shifting the narrative from pure action to rich storytelling. So whether you're a die-hard Batman fan or someone who appreciates film as an art form, there's something to take away from this movie. It's a celebration of creativity, character depth, and the power of vision in filmmaking. If you haven't revisited Batman in a while, I highly encourage you to do so. You might find a new layer of appreciation for it, just as I have. Which leads me into my rating. This is a solid 9 out of 10. It is so important to the world that we're in now with all of the DC and the MCU and where comics have gone. This is where that all came from. Now that brings us to the end of our exploration of Batman. I hope you enjoyed our deep dive into Gotham City and the twisted, fascinating universe that Tim Burton crafted. It's amazing how this film continues to captivate us and redefine what a superhero film can be. But don't worry, we're far from finished with our journey through Burton's unique filmography. Next up, we're shifting gears to a tale that beautifully blends fantasy with heart. Edward Scissorhands. This film is a true testament to Burton's ability to weave whimsical storytelling with poignant themes of love, acceptance, and the struggles of feeling like an outsider. With its iconic imagery and memorable characters, Edward Scissorhands explores the beauty and challenges of individuality in a world that often fears what it doesn't understand. So make sure you subscribe to Real Talk so you don't miss an episode, and don't forget to follow us on Threads and Instagram at Real Talk. I truly want to hear your thoughts on Batman. Did it change the way you perceive superhero movies? What stood out to you? Was it Nicholson's unforgettable portrayal of the Joker, or Keaton's nuanced performance as Bruce Wayne? I'd love to engage with your insights, so drop a comment or send me a message. And thanks for tuning in. Your support means the world, and it keeps this conversation alive. So as always, keep watching, keep loving, and keep those reels rolling.